You see, many coaches and athletes think that Olympic lifts are the gold tier of developing explosive, powerful athletes. And I'm here to tell you, while I think they are great, there are other options available to you, which I'm going to share with you 5 different exercises that you can use while you slowly learn the movement, because they are such a technical lift. And some of the downsides is that you're not able to actually load the bar and move the weight as fast as possible because you are so concerned on technique or have a lack of technique that you can't actually get the most out of it. But once you do, I think Olympic lifts are fucking awesome. If we're trying to build explosive athletes, we need to be training for power. Okay, so this is what you're after. Power is simply force, which you can just think of the weight that you have on the bar, times velocity. And velocity is simply distance divided by time. Okay, so how far you move something and how quickly. Okay, so that's your power. Okay, the first exercise you've probably all seen, but it is a trap bar jump. And the reason this works in comparison to a clean or a snatch is because we're still getting triple extension, right? So triple extension is ankles, knees, and hips all the way through. Another reason this works really well is there's all follow through. It's really fucking simple. You just tell the athlete, jump, okay? So it's a lot less technical and you can still get really high power outputs. Now with the trap bar jump, you typically want to be around 20 to 30% of your 1 rep max, okay? So if you can deadlift or trap bar deadlift 400 pounds, you're probably gonna have on around 120 to 140-ish pounds, okay? You have to check my math. The key to all of this though, with all power-based training, you have to give maximal effort, maximal intent, low volume, high intensity. That is how you're gonna get the stimulus your body needs in order to get the adaptation to be, let's get more powerful, okay? Now there's a couple of different ways you can do the trap bar jump, okay? And I'm gonna show you 2 different versions. The first is going from a standstill, okay? So I'm here, jump up, reset, jump up, reset, okay? With this version, you're working on pure, like muscular driven power, okay? Because you're coming from that standstill. You're just engaging the quads and the glutes to explode up and jump as high as possible. This is good for improving something like your standing vert or hips on hands, those type of tests, okay? The other version that I think is really great that you can progress to are repeat jumps, okay? Now this does take a little bit more coordination and some stability and a little practice, but with this version, you get to train the stretch shorten cycle, which is where your body goes through a rapid lengthening or rapid eccentric and then immediately comes back to concentric, okay? And that's where like the explosiveness really comes when you're out on the field, okay? With these, I like to get a little bit of a brace, okay? Okay, and you gotta go in and out as fast as possible, and you're trying to get off the ground as fast as possible. Let's get into the second exercise that you could swap in for different Olympic lifts. And let me just say this again, I think Olympic lifts are great. I program them consistently throughout our peak performance program, but we typically build up to them, and I allow our athletes to make any of these substitutions that you're seeing in this video until they get their form better. The next exercise is probably one of my favorites because it's gonna help you teach some good mechanics and technique for the actual clean. And it also takes the best part of the clean where the most amount of power is generated, which is the second pull, basically from here to here. That's where most power is generated in Olympic lift variations and Olympic lifts. And this is simply targeting that. So I'm gonna show you 2 different variations of a clean pull. So you can do from the floor and a hang position or from pins with it. Now, if you know anything about power development, typically they're like 30 to 50% for most exercises. This is one of the exercises where you can add the load and get a little bit heavier, and you're gonna still maintain good speed because the range of motion isn't very fast and you're in a high leverage position, so you can go heavier with this and still get really fast bar speeds, okay? So with this, you're simply setting up in your clean position, right? I'm not gonna go through it all, but butt down, chest up, press the knees out, back's flat, coming through. And then once you clear the knees, right? Once you clear the knees, it's a violent, aggressive snapping the hips up and through. So you're trying to be as vertical as possible with this. And then it's just a shrug at the top, okay? There's no need to control the eccentric or lower it down nicely. Be violent, be aggressive, get the fuck after it. You can see too, as I come up, my knees kind of dip underneath me a little bit so I can get up and under and straight with it. Now I'll show you the hang variation, or you can imagine this off of pins. The third exercise is going to take advantage or use a method called dynamic effort, okay, or accommodating resistance, which just means that we're going to do a lighter load, but we're going to add some bands onto this. I like the bands because once you get proficient and have good technique, the bands can actually help you accelerate you down into the bottom position a little bit quicker, so you get a greater eccentric force that you have to overcome to use, again, greater stretch, shorten cycle to train that a little bit more and then explode on out, okay? And with the bands, it's also going to make it harder as you get into a better leverage position. So for athletes, it's nice because it forces them to continue to accelerate through the entire range of motion. Okay, so banded back squats, or you can do a couple different variations depending on the specific quality of speed or power that you're after, like oscillations or pause or things like that, which we use inside of our program. But I'm gonna show you some banded squats right now. The only thing you're not getting with this is triple extension, okay? Meaning that you're not getting the ankles, but you are getting aggressive vertical force utilizing both the quads and the glutes to propel yourself up. So with this, you can be, again, you can do 30% and focus on quicker. Typically I do oscillations with a lighter type of load, or you can just keep it around 40, 50, sometimes up to 60%, depending on how strong the athlete is with these. I'll show you the oscillations right now. The oscillations are meant to like really work the central nervous system and get really good at turning off and on your muscles really quickly, and a little bit extra work on that stretch, shorten cycle. Except they look goofy as fuck. Again, with all of this, it has to be maximal intent, because maximal intent is going to drive the speed at which you lift the weight, which is going to make you produce more power and drive adaptation. So 225, this is probably, I don't know, 45, maybe 50. I haven't back squatted max in a while. All right, we're back to the barbell for number 4, which is another progression that I use to help teach the clean, and it's a high pull. So the clean pull, you're just coming up through the hips and shrugging. This, now we're gonna start to incorporate the upper body with this. Now, if you're going for like max power output, you're probably not gonna be getting to the chin, but a good kind of marker for weight, assuming maximal speed, effort, all that stuff, is probably just above the nipple line to about right below the sternum. That is gonna be a good kind of marker if you know you should go up, or kind of go down if you're trying to achieve some peak power output. Okay, that's not research backed, that's just years and thousands of reps doing this. Try to give you a little bit of a tip, okay? So you can come from the floor, you can come from a hang, you can go from blocks, okay? You can do snatch grip, ton of different variations. All All right, I need to get after it. And now I'll show the hang position. A little bit harder, usually go a little bit lighter weight. I know I said 5, but I'm gonna show you 6 because I wanna add one in. I learned this when I was doing some strength and conditioning at a JUCO, Chafee, shout out. But it's called a jump shrug, okay? So this is more of a like technical learning the hip sort of stuff that you can build into learning a clean. And then I'm gonna show you one that's just like power output, okay? Simple, okay? So the jump shrug, lighter load. I don't think I've ever gone heavier than 185 on this. You're gonna go down to the top of the knees from here, right? So you're gonna load the hips, load the hamstrings, and then all you're gonna do is jump and shrug, as the name says. So it's more of a teaching thing for beginner athletes who don't really understand like how much force they need to use with their legs to get the bar to move up, that tend to use their upper body. So it's a good kind of teaching point. Still get some good power output with it, okay? The last one. And this is one. This last one, you'll have seen a lot of like track guys do in the past. And this one's definitely got to be light load, maybe even like 15% of your 1 rep max, okay? And it's a barbell squat jump. So you can do quarter squats, half squats, full squats, repeat. But it's really, all you're doing is trying to jump. Simple. The reason these all work is because they are trying to create the same adaptation that you are going to get from your cleans, variations, or snatches, okay? So it's same vertical force production. There's a high rate of force development, which we're after. There's working to stretch, shorten cycle, and there's also training the central nervous system to fire very, very quickly. Okay, all those things said, these are going to be great substitutions that you can use in place of, say, an Olympic lift while you start to learn some of the technique and get better and better and better with it, okay? Now, if you got value out of this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment any questions you have down below. I'm gonna look through the comments, and if there's a common question that I can make a video on, I'm gladly going to do it. And if you're an athlete who's interested in having an entire program and system built out for them with strength, speed, conditioning, plyos, Olympic lift variations, progressions, all of that, then check out the Peak Performance Program, and I'll see you in the next video.